All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Trusted Smart Chain overview. My name is Travis Flaherty. I'm excited to be your host here this evening. We've got a great event in store for you tonight. We've still got people that are coming into the room, people that are tuning in from all over the world tonight. We've got China in the house. We've got Nigeria in the house. It's great to see a global audience on here tonight. Here's what you can expect. Over the next 25 or so minutes, we are going to give you an overview of Trusted Smart Chain, including how we are providing a universal framework for the tokenization of real-world assets that leads to trust and transparency. We're going to be talking about an opportunity to be a node operator on the Trusted Smart Chain as well, and ultimately the benefits that accompany that opportunity. We're also going to, on the second half of tonight's call, I'm going to invite some of my friends and business partners to come and join me. We're going to do a little roundtable. I prepared some questions for them. They don't know what those questions are, but I promise you they are going to spark a really great conversation that should be educational and high value as well. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in without any further ado. I'm so excited about this project and what we are bringing to the blockchain space. You know, it is really exciting to watch the growth that is happening, the excitement that's happening with the new administration that's coming in that's pro-crypto. And we've seen that in just the adoption that's been happening. If you look at the market cap, the total market cap of cryptocurrency just a year ago, we were at about 1.9 trillion. Today, we're hovering around $4 trillion. So when you look at that type of growth, and you think for a moment that, you know, the crypto enthusiasts have already been here. So who's coming into this space, right? We're seeing institutional money. We're seeing, you know, a movement towards adoption. But for that to continue, we have to move from a space of you know, hype and speculation to tangibility and substance. And that's really what we are about here. We are focused on revolutionizing the blockchain industry by setting a global standard for trust and transparency in real-world asset tokenization. We are focused on empowering businesses and individuals like yourselves with a transparent and reliable blockchain platform that bridges the gap between digital innovation and real-world value. Now, let's talk a little bit about the tokenization of real-world assets for a moment. So, what is tokenization? Tokenization uses blockchain technology to break down physical or sometimes even digital assets into smaller tradable units, which makes ownership more accessible. It makes it much more secure and much more transparent than ever. And if you go back even just a few years ago, in 2020, when the conversation of real world assets first began, you know, we're looking at approximately 2.1 billion real world assets were tokenized in 2021. We're now looking at, over the next 5 years, a growth pattern that experts suggest could reach as high as $16 trillion. Now, who is tokenizing? Luxury hotels, artwork, existing businesses, commercial property, real estate REITs, residential homes, commodities, all across the board. We're seeing this industry is absolutely exploding. You know, if you take a look at the growth pattern, you know, in the industry of blockchain, there have been these paradigm shifts along the way, and they've happened about every 4 to 5 years that create entire new industries. I'll give you some examples. So, of course, blockchain first came out in 2008, 2009, excuse me, Bitcoin was introduced. Blockchain came along and it really solved a major issue at the time, right? 2008, we had a global collapse of the market. There was a lack of trust that was happening with the banking and the centralized institutions. And all of a sudden, Bitcoin comes out and blockchain comes along, this decentralized network of computers that started to pave the pathway. And then in 2015, you had Ethereum that came along. And along with that, smart contracts that introduced new industries. You had DeFi, decentralized finance, dApps, decentralized apps, non-fungible tokens. We've seen the explosion of meme coins. So we've seen the industry evolving. And right now, what we're seeing is that same type of paradigm shift in the direction of RWA'S and tokenization. But there are some challenges, and that's really what we are here to address. You know, the future success of any project, any blockchain project, any token for that matter, comes down to a couple of things. Number one, it comes down to utility. We're going to be talking about that tonight. What problems are you solving? So let's talk a little bit about some of those challenges. First of all, there is no question that in this space, especially, we have had Regulatory uncertainty. And I am so excited at the announcement today, some of you might have seen, that is coming out of the new administration, that they have just brought on a crypto task force to provide the framework that has been lacking for the last 4 years. Now, some of you might think, ooh, task force, you hear that term and you might think that that's a bad thing. That's a great thing, because what it's doing is it's giving clarity that allows for that movement towards adoption. So we've had some challenges when it comes to regulatory uncertainty. For the last 4 years, anything that came into the SEC's office that had the name crypto on it was completely rejected. And what that did is it forced innovation, overseas, and it left businesses, especially businesses that wanted to tokenize, in a position where they had to guess. And there just wasn't a lot of clarity. And so regulatory uncertainty has been a challenge. A lot of problems associated with high fees. If you are a business that is tokenizing as a real world asset, you're looking to access liquidity, and you go through that process, typically you would build on a layer 1 blockchain, such as Ethereum, for example. They have an open source blockchain, and you can build your project on top of their layer 1 chain. The challenge is you end up, in some cases, depending on congestion, paying 3, 4, 5% in fees when you're trying to liquidate into fiat currency. Anybody had that challenge before, where you start off with a decent amount, then by the time that you end up over here in fiat currency, you're ended up paying 5%. If you're liquidating $100,000, you're left with $95,000. It's a big challenge, right? And does anybody else feel my pain on this? Let's talk a little bit about valuation and appraisals, because this is at the heart of the conversation. If we wanted to, let's say, Jeff, you wanted to tokenize your home, and your home was worth $1 million, just for simplicity's sake. Number one, we would start with an appraisal. We would start with an independent audit of the value of your property. From there, let's say that you wanted to tokenize 50% of that property. And so you wanted to circulate 500,000 tokens. Well, each token would be worth $1, right? And it's that value of that token is substantiated by the independent audit and the appraisal. But in the world of RWA'S, especially over the last few years, there has been no framework. So, Jeff, you could say, well, I know that the appraisal says that it's worth $1 million, but man, to me, it's worth 10 million, because I've got priceless memories that are in here. I've raised my family here. So you could start with 10 million, and you come out and you circulate 5 million tokens, or 500,000 tokens into circulation. You've got a totally different value. Is that value based on hype and speculation, or is it based on tangibility? That's a big problem. Lack of liquidity is another problem for these projects. You've got projects that, I know of some projects, they've been waiting for 2 years for the actual token to have some liquidity so that they can actually cash those tokens in. That's a huge problem. If there's a low amount of liquidity or no liquidity at all, it's very, very fragile as a project in itself, because one person can move the token value or swing the token value sometimes as much as 80 to 90%. And that's not necessarily a great position to be in. Rug pulls. How many of you guys saw the Hawk Tua token just recently come out over a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago now? Somebody approached this influencer who became popular through TikTok, and she built a brand and had a pretty big following. Somebody approached her and convinced her that it was a good idea to actually tokenize that brand. And so they created a token. They did an initial coin offering, which means that they issued a large amount of the overall tokens that were into distribution to themselves. So now when the token listed, in the first 20 minutes, what happened? That thing shot up. Everybody was excited. FOMO kicked in. Even more people started buying. And then what happened? They sold their tokens, and what did it do to the overall value of that project? We've seen this over and over again in this space, and now there's a lot of people that are sitting out there holding the Hawk Tua token, hoping and praying that it comes back. And finally, we have misrepresented claims. We've got to talk a little bit about this because, in my experience in this industry, I have watched the creative language that's used around projects, and I'm starting to see that terms like backed by aren't all that they claim to be. I'm going to give you an example. There are projects that are out there that say, we're backed by gold. Gold is tangible. Go back to the early 70s before Richard Nixon removed the gold standard, and the dollar had real value. Since it was removed, what happened to the value? It's lost nearly 90% of its value. All true. We just launched a token that's backed by $1 billion in gold. Sounds great, right? Now you have actual stored value here. But if you go explore the project, the reality is there's a gold mine. And that gold mine, the gold has not been extracted, and they will never extract it because of the terrain that it's in. It would be too expensive to extract. So what do? They lease out the gold mine. So this company bought the lease, and now they turn around and they tokenize $1 billion in gold. Well, if something ever happened to that particular project, would they be able to go and actually get to those assets? This happens all the time in this space. So there are some challenges in this industry that have to be resolved for us to move from hype and speculation to tangibility and substance, to continue to attract that institutional money that is coming into this space. So how are we doing that? How are we solving problems? You know, there's a success formula that I subscribe to. A mentor taught me this a long time ago. He says, Travis, if you can figure out where people are going and get there faster, there's a lot of money that can be made. And I believe in that. You know, being a pioneer in crypto, think about if you were involved in Bitcoin back in 2009, 2010, even 2011. When did you first hear about Bitcoin? I would love to hear into the chat. When you first heard about Bitcoin, what was the price range? When did you hear about it? Those were the pioneers, right? But let me give you an even better success formula. If you can figure out where people are going and get there faster and provide solutions to some of the biggest challenges, legacy fortunes can be created. And that is exactly what Trusted Smart Chain is doing. So how are we addressing these issues? We're providing a universally accepted framework for the world of tokenization. So what does that mean? All of these businesses, $16 trillion worth of businesses coming into this space, are looking for a framework and a company that can provide a pathway forward. So what do? We focus only on real existing businesses with cash flowing assets. So there's no speculative or unproven projects that are going to be listed on the Trusted Smart Chain. Okay. Number two, we require every one of our real world assets to actually register as an investment, to file a Reg A and Reg D so that there is no confusion. You know, one of my business partners always says, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Well, guess what? There has been all of these arguments back and forth, whether this is a security, this isn't a security. We're going to take the guesswork out of the equation, and we are going to require that they file a Reg A and Reg D. Now, what does that do? First and foremost, they have to start with an independent audit. What a novel idea. We actually substantiate true value at the beginning before the token is listed. In addition to that, what does it do? It allows individuals that want to participate in that real world asset to go and look at things like asset statements. Let's see how the term backed by really applies here. When you talk about the 7 or 10 or 20 or 5 or whatever $1 billion in business assets that you currently have, let's see if they're listed on your actual balance sheet, or these are strategic partners that are just getting paid a small percentage so you can leverage their name and their brand. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to, is this project going to be protected? Is it going to be collateralized? Is it truly backed by? You should be able to see that. Is the company successful? If you're thinking about getting involved, should you be able to look at the P&L? Should you be able to look at the history? Of course you should. So these Reg A's and Reg D's allow for you to be able to properly evaluate these real world assets. We are the first blockchain to implement these industry-leading standards for tokenized real-world assets. Now, let me be clear. We won't be the last. You know, my business partner, Billy Beach, who's on tonight, you'll be hearing from here shortly, was actually at Mar-a-Lago just a few weeks ago, had a chance to be able to meet with Trump's crypto czar. And consistent with the announcement that was made today about a framework that is coming, we will see a framework that comes over the next 12 months. But here's the beautiful thing. First to market always wins. And you know what? We don't need to own the entire $16 trillion industry. We just need to have a little sliver of it to be wildly successful as a company. Now let's talk a little bit about where we're at and where we're going. So first of all, we are a true layer one blockchain. Why do I say it that way? Because there are companies that have claimed to operate as a blockchain, and their blockchain consists of nothing more than a spreadsheet and a distribution that they are actually doing manually to their quote unquote node holders. We are built on a true layer one Cosmos blockchain, which is extremely robust, extremely scalable, and it's designed for efficiency and to secure tokenization of real world assets. Now, we currently have 12 real world assets already in process. The average evaluation or valuation of each one of these companies is $50 million. You know, we were having some really fun conversations today as co-founders, and we were talking about some of the projects and some of the upcoming meetings that we have over the next few days. Guys, I will tell you this: there's no shortage of businesses, I'm even going to say celebrities, you name it, that are coming out of the woodworks because of the framework and the value that we bring to the market right now. So we are entering into a lot of conversations. The goal is to tokenize over 100 companies over the next 3 years. We've also just introduced the Trusted Society, which is an exclusive community that's driven by value. It's driven by education. Our node operators aren't just buying node software. They're actually entering into a community that's going to give them access to a variety of different education, online events, owners events, where they're going to continue their journey in the world of cryptocurrency. We've also just introduced our beta phase 1 of our affiliate program that's going to graduate to phase 2 on February 1st. And so we now currently have a tier 1 affiliate program, and we've been wildly successful since we've introduced that here, even over the course of the last couple of weeks. So again, we are looking to tokenize 100 real world assets over the next 3 years. Over the next couple of weeks, maybe even sooner, you will be hearing about the introduction of our proprietary Prosper wallet that our node operators will be able to download. Our token distribution targets at the end of January, the beginning of February. We're looking to start token distribution and Genesis, our blockchain. Our DApp is also launching here over the course of the next week, 1 to 2 weeks. We have TSC Building Belief Initiative, which has been launched. This is very important to me. So the TSC Belief Initiative is to provide a number of different opportunities for our members, for our community, to be able to come and validate the different RWAs that we are bringing onto our exchange. So for example, just coming up here on February 8th, we have a destination event to one of our real world assets. It is a medical grade hemp facility. We have a number of these different facilities. This is one of them in Oklahoma. And we're hosting an event at the actual facility. Every single one of our real world assets has an asset manager, and the asset manager will be talking all about that particular project. This is an opportunity for people to be able to come and really get early access to one of the first RWAs that we're going to be listing on our exchange here over the next 60 to 90 days. In March, on the 24th, I believe it is, and 25th, we actually are hosting an event in Tulum. So what better place to host an owners event, our very first owners event, than at one of our properties that we're actually tokenizing, our luxury properties down in Tulum. I'd love to know in the chat, how many of you guys are planning on coming and hanging out with us down in Tulum? Because that's going to be an outstanding event as well. And so we are going to continue to build on this belief as we move forward. And then finally, we anticipate our listing to be within 60 to 90 days from the start date of the token distribution. Now let's talk a little bit about our affiliation with the T7X exchange, because I want to make sure that everyone understands that while these are two separate companies, there is a collaborative effort here. Trusted Smart Chain is providing the foundation for T7X and their exchange. By the way, T7X stands for Trusted Exchange in 7 continents. So a trusted exchange in 7 continents. They are licensed in 7 continents. And T7X is actually working with all of these real world assets. They're helping them to go through the process of getting their Reg A and Reg D filings. Reg D is for accredited investors. You've got Reg A for non-accredited investors. And so what they do is they work with them, help them through that process. Once that's done, these real world assets put up $3 million to invest in media. And that media partner will then go out and do exactly what they do and put advertising out about that real world asset opportunity. And out the other side comes 3,000 to 5,000 investors that want to participate in that real world asset. Now, it's very important that you understand this is all happening over at T7X. None of this happens at the Trusted Smart Chain. We're just the foundation that makes all this possible. But here's the beautiful thing. We require every one of those investors that comes to the table that decides that they want to participate in the real world asset that was just listed. And why would they do that? Because of the potential dividends that they can receive. They have to invest utilizing the TSC token. So that's utility number one. They have to go to the open market. They have to go to an exchange. They have to buy trusted smart chain to be able to invest. Both accredited and non-accredited investors are doing that. Now, here's the neat thing. In addition to that, each real world asset is required to pay their dividends to their investors in the form of the TSC token. So that means, and I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say a real world asset's valued at $50 million and they're paying 10% dividends to their investors. That's $5 million a year that they're paying to the individuals that came in that invested in their project. Why did they invest in their project? Because they created a token opportunity. They wanted access to the liquidity. The investors wanted the opportunity to participate in the continued growth of that particular company. And so now, here's what happens. The actual real world asset has to go to the open market and buy $5 million worth of trusted smart chain to pay their investors. There's utility number two. Let's break this down a little bit further, give you a graph on it so that you can see it firsthand. So you have the underlying blockchain that is making all this possible, which is trusted smart chain. Now, on trusted smart chain, we have T7X as a strategic partner. T7X, what are they doing? They are helping these real world assets tokenize. They have asset managers that are working with them as they go through the Reg A, Reg D process and essentially list on trusted smart chain. The investor chooses to participate in that real world investment. 3,000 to 5,000 typically come from the media. Others may choose to participate inside of our ecosystem if they want to. That is all being handled over at T7X. So the investor goes to the exchange and purchases the trusted smart chain token. They invest in the real world asset. Both accredited and non-accredited investors can do that. Now, the real world asset pays out on average 10% dividends to those that invested in their project. Now, what's happening? They have to go to the open market and they have to buy TSC token. Now you've got that working back and forth. You've created utility on both sides. If you were to take 100 companies, which is our goal over the next 3 years, and just average out an average evaluation of 50 million, paying out 5 million, that's $500 million of liquidity that's coming into our token just on the real world asset side, not including the investor side. Now we have TSC. How do they come into the equation? They are the foundation. Remember, we talked earlier about a blockchain. What is a blockchain? Blockchain is essentially nothing more than a network of nodes that are doing what? What are node operators? Node is kind of a funny word. They're just helping to facilitate transactions on the blockchain. They're helping to essentially bring tokens into circulation. And that is the overall foundation of everything that is happening on the trusted smart chain. So I shared something a little earlier. The success of a project, especially when it comes to a token, comes down to the utility and the problems that you are solving. We have identified the significant challenges that are associated with the tokenization of real world assets. We've not only provided a solution that provides trust and transparency and safety to businesses and ultimately those that want to invest in those businesses, but we have created true utility for the trusted smart chain token. How? Again, a couple of different ways. Number one, anyone that chooses to purchase a node once we list will have an opportunity to be able to buy their nodes at a discount. So what does that do? Those people that want to purchase a node, they have to go to the open market. They buy trusted smart chain. They can purchase their nodes that way. The investors that are participating in the real world assets over at T7X, they have to buy trusted smart chain. The real world assets are paying their investors with trusted smart chain. And I'm excited to also announce, and this was just out in a public a press release here recently, T7X has chosen the trusted smart chain to make all of this possible. We are the foundation, and they're utilizing the trusted smart chain token for all of their gas fees for transactions. I'm also excited to announce that one of the big solutions that we're providing is we're aiming to reduce those fees significantly, so investors are no longer paying 3, 4, 5%. They're paying 0.5% to 1% moving forward. So, node operators. What does it mean to be a node operator? I mean, again, it's kind of a funny word. So what do node operators do? Well, first of all, they validate and they confirm transactions, right? There's no centralized entity. So you have a network of computers that are all working together to also maintain security, to process and add blocks to the blockchain. What is a block? Remember, blockchain is nothing more than a ledger. So a block entails all of the details of the transaction. They support smart contract execution. So if one of these companies has a smart contract that's enforcing their protocol, the nodes enforce it. They participate in consensus mechanisms, and ultimately they store and ensure the integrity of the blockchain, 100% decentralized. Now, we will be activating 200,000 node operators in 2025. What does that process look like? Number one, you purchase your trust node. What is a trust node? It is software that you download. You do not have to have a special computer. You don't have to have any type of significant server that's sitting in your home. You purchase the software, you download it, and then from there, you set up your Prosper wallet. That's where your digital daily rewards are essentially going to be coming into your DApp. You'll be able to move them over to your Prosper wallet. And then step 3 is you host your trust node. That's all happening on your side. You download it, you go host it. We can refer you to some partners. We actually have a relationship with one of our referral partners that has a little discount code that gets the hosting down to $2 per month. All of that is happening on your side, 100% decentralized. What we are selling is software. What we are selling is essentially the opportunity to be a node operator. That is it. Now, let's talk a little bit about the trusted society. When you purchase a node, you essentially gain an access to one of the most exclusive communities in the cryptocurrency space, Trusted Society, which is gaining access to our online social networking communities, access to legally vetted, registered, and fully compliant RWA'S. Now, again, let me be very clear. That is happening over at T7X. We do not get involved in that. We have no involvement in the process of selling these real world assets. That's all happening over on the other side under T7X and more specifically the asset managers. We are just facilitating it with our blockchain. In addition to that, you get access to on-site visits like we're doing in Oklahoma in February or in Tulum in March and other on-site visits and owners events to come in the future. You get access to member-only events. We've got a fantastic event that's coming up where people are going to learn how to evaluate real-world assets from one of our asset managers. You're going to get access to our lucrative affiliate program and as well, again, one of the most esteemed communities in the world that we are currently building. So how do you participate? One of the neat things about you being here tonight is you are here because you were invited by somebody who is involved at the early stages to our friends and family rounds. What does that mean? Our pre-launch pricing for our nodes, which will start on or around February 1st, is $2,500. That's where we will start. Every 1,000 nodes that sell, the price will go up by $100. During our friends and family round, the pricing is $1,500 per node. So what does that include? It includes the software and activation. It includes the ability to earn daily digital token rewards. You become a stakeholder in the DAO with voting rights. You get access to the TSC social community. You get an invitation to our exclusive owner events and access to RWA vetted opportunities that will come to the table. You know, one of the things that I believe is of significant value by being a part of the Trusted Society is being exposed to these different opportunities moving forward that you would have never been exposed to otherwise. Having a chance to be able to participate in significant vetted opportunities. I've always, felt like that inner circle, the rich get richer, right? The wealthy continue to get wealthier because they're exposed to these opportunities. And that's what I love the most about what we're doing is we're creating an all-inclusive community. Now, we do have a prestige status, which is 5 nodes, normally priced at $12,500. It's currently $7,500 during friends and family. And here you're going to, at our events, you're going to receive recognition. You're going to get additional access to tiered calls where we are, for example, our asset manager call that's coming up where you'll learn how to evaluate real world assets is going to start at the prestige status and above. And so you get additional opportunities to be a part of a more exclusive community. You also are eligible to serve on our DAO committees. Our DAO right now is in legal process, and we will be converting everything over to the DAO and giving this back to the community. This will be a community-run organization, essentially where everything is happening by vote. So it is a company that is truly decentralized, run by the people, for the people. Our Luminary Circle is getting into the elite status here at Trusted Smart Chain. So Luminary, you have 20 nodes, normal price of 50,000. It is 30,000 during friends and family. Keep in mind that with each node, you're getting an equal distribution of daily digital rewards per node that you own. So you're going to get 2 free nodes here. You're going to get 10% off of future node purchases. You also, of course, get access to the daily token rewards, equal voting rights. Now, our luminaries are also going to get exclusive access to member events with badge of honor and recognition. For example, we have a very special dinner that we're doing in Oklahoma for the luminaries and above. We have a special event planned in Tulum for our luminaries and above as well. That's going to be a beautiful rooftop event. And so they get additional access, if you will. You get eligible to serve on DAO committees. You get early access to the RWA'S. You know, one of the things with a Reg A and a Reg D is that there's only a certain amount of non-accredited investors that can participate in those real-world asset projects. And so you will gain early access to these different vetted opportunities. And we only have a total of 2,500 luminaries that will be sold before the luminaries will close out. And then finally, we have our Titan Circle. And we actually have a number of Titans that are on with us tonight, 50 nodes, 125,000. You can save a significant amount of money by getting involved during friends and family at $75,000 currently. You get 5 free nodes. And really, the best way for me to describe this is you're on the innerest of inner circles that we currently have. You know, our Titans are coming out, you know, a day or two before the events. We're having fun. We're going out on the yachts and we're masterminding about future projects that are coming. They get early access to the vetted opportunities. And it's just really about, you know, imagine, if you will, Tony Robbins. A lot of people will spend $100,000 or so to be on Tony Robbins' inner circle, right? Because they want that access. They want to be able to have direct access to the founders and ultimately the different resources that we currently offer here. And those resources will continue to grow as we build out the Trusted Society. So we've got a number of different ways that you can participate. If you would like more information, what I would encourage you to do is head over to trustedsmartchain.com. There you can read our white papers. You can read all about our tokenomics. You can read all about our distribution schedules. We have modeled this entire project after Bitcoin. We'll be getting into that in the Q&A round here in just a few minutes. So we've modeled everything after Bitcoin, so it's very familiar. It is a project that we believe will appeal to the institutional money that's coming into the door, and it aligns with our mission of bringing trust and transparency to the blockchain community. So I would encourage you, if you do want to purchase a node, to get back to whoever invited you to watch this presentation. They will give you the next steps to be able to go ahead and get purchased. So with that, we're going to go ahead and stop sharing here, and we are going to transition into our Q&A here.